I have to say that Donald Trump has just had the best week or best 10 days of his second term. I'm still not sure bombing Iran was warranted. As I said last week, I'd have liked to have seen the evidence of Iran being on the nuclear doorstep rather than take Prime Minister Netanyahu's word for it, especially in the face of what DNI Tulsi Gabbard had testified in March and what Trump himself was saying right up until Israel launched its strike against Iran. But the mission was carried out with stealth and with precision. There were no American casualties. And while Congress is divided after receiving briefings on the extent of the damage, I'm sure that we've derailed Iran's nuclear program, at least temporarily.
CNN, we're gonna hop over to the 5, but we talked about all this opposition, just doubt and all this. But I did want to show you this clip of this one guy, and almost accidentally showed it to you earlier, but I didn't want to do it in that sequence. But I want to show you, because this is a prime example of TDS. No matter the wind, no matter what's going on, listen to this. I'm not even tell you what to say. I'm gonna let you hear it for yourself. You let me know in the comments what you think about it, and we'll go from there.
At a record low, do you give the Trump administration some credit for that?
No, I don't give them credit for that, because border crossings are low because they're violating the law every day. They are not allowing anybody to come here to apply for asylum. So it's true, there are very few people crossing on a daily basis, but that's because the Trump administration is violating the law.
So the border being at a record low, and I don't know how long, in decades, is an issue now. Because now, some border crossings, it's an issue because now it's too low. How y'all be listening to this? I just don't get it. Like, I don't understand.
This is really interesting. You know, Dana, as I watch this, I always think, what advice would you give Chris Murphy? Because, you know, if you're looking at an issue that 80% of Americans think is out of control, and this is the outcome that they want, isn't it better for him to admit that and then move on to, and here's how we would make it even better?
This is the thing that I don't understand about Chris Murphy or any of the Democrats right now is, why aren't they pulling together and saying, what could we go to Trump and ask for that we want? Right? Because he's willing to meet with anybody.
Yes.
And if they went to him and said, would you work with us on the Dreamers? I know, please forgive us. You were going to do it in 2017. We were wrong. We would like to try to do it now. Would you work with us, Mr. President? And we can bring, 45 votes, and we think we can get it done. What do you think? Should we make a deal? Like, I don't understand why they don't do that, because just fighting him isn't working. The fact that Trump's on a roll is not just luck. These pieces have been put in place over time. So last week, yes, huge Supreme Court wins, but also how did that happen? Because in his first term, he was able to say, let me work really hard with McConnell and everybody else and get these judges in place. Now, a lot of conservatives might have problems with this justice or this justice, depending on the case. But overall, I think that the fact that there's a conservative-leaning court is serving the conservative party well. Yeah. It is certainly serving President Trump well. In the meantime, the Democrats have nothing but this new guy. What's the best thing that's happened to the Democrats so far? I think it's a terrible thing, but the only...
Well, no, seriously. I ask myself that, like, and that's how I say these people don't care. These people really, I believe, hate President Trump more than they love this country. Or more than they love the people that they claim to serve. Because if you really wanted to serve, because you got to think, so all these people that you heard, these Congress members, especially all these Congress members that's trying to get just clickbait, TikTok famous, whatever they trying to do, social media stars, all these stunts, getting arrested, escorting illegals out after they got their due process, which they claim they wanted because they go to court and they want to escort them out. Then they want to make these scenes and get locked up. These people come from all different districts of states. So like multiple people from different states, but different districts. What are they doing for their people? Like their actual job is to advocate for their constituents, which is the people that voted them in their districts. Anybody that knows anything about Trump, whether it be his pride, whatever it is, he's reasonable and he's a deal maker. He's a businessman. And he is not like freaking thorn-hearted like they try to make him seem. And they know for a darn well fact, if they went in there and made a good case, now no cuckoo for Cocoa Puff stuff. See, the problem is all their policies are cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And the things that they want to do are just unacceptable. Okay? But if they had something reasonable, like she said, go in and be like, look, not even on this federal shit, like they own constituents. It's so many small things that could be done in their districts. Like I live in a liberal city. I live in a Republican state, but a liberal city. There's certain things, if they just had an open mind, like, boy, if I was to murder this doggone city, I'd be advocating for my people. I'll be making deals. Okay, what can you do? What can you do? Okay, well, what can we do about this? This neighborhood, this destitute, this is that. Can we get this? How can I help? Like, come on, man. What are we talking about? This is not how this goes. This is not how any of this goes. It's freaking wrong, man.
The only exciting news that they have is Mamdani.
Yes.
Everything else they have is Biden cover up. They have no policy. They can't get any wins. This big, beautiful bill is going to pass. They've got nothing. The border is secure. And I think the other thing is people are looking at this saying, wow, elections really have consequences. If you live at the border, wow, it's amazing. If you are Jewish and you're concerned about anti-Semitism on campus, Trump's got you. You're in Israel and you're worried about Iran having a nuclear weapon, he's got you there too. So think about all of those things that have happened. And if Kamala Harris had won the election, it does make people really focus the mind.
Yeah, and it's hard to imagine what she would have done in any of these situations. But Paul, you're talking about the strike on Iran and then the ceasefire deal on the heels of that. The SCOTUS wins and NATO actually offering to pony up 5% of their collective GDP in order to do what the president was asking in his first term. Where is the biggest win here?
You know, I would link them all, and it just shows you how complex the job of the president is. And let me tease it out. I was talking about last time I was on the show. He went into the Iran thing knowing that he had the NATO meeting coming up, right? So if you're sitting where he is, he's got to say to himself two things that I'm really at risk here with the Iran strike. First of all, I can't have a B-2 with some of our most sensitive technology go down inside Iran because the next day North Korea, China, and Russia have that technology. That's the big risk. So I make sure the Israelis cleared the corridor. All right. Secondly, however, he had to make sure that in response, Iran doesn't start lobbing missiles that are going to land inside Baghdad. Why? Because there's a NATO mission there. NMI, the NATO mission to Iraq, is still there. So if he has to go into The Hague and have a meeting with all of NATO and has to spend all his time trying to justify why there are dead British, German, French, Dutch soldiers, etc., you have a very different kettle of fish. So, look, the old saying of fortune favors the bold really comes home here. Give him his due, man. One thing about Donald Trump, he's got stones. He put it on the line here, and he said, we're going to hit this place. Then I'm going to go into NATO, and I'm going to say I want the 5%. Now, we should tease it out. 1.5 of that is stuff they should be doing anyway, cyber infrastructure, et cetera. Yeah. But I think the real point to sum up is that the stuff that he's done here and why the week is so consequential is it's going to outlast Donald Trump. Yeah. NATO is going to be here. He was talking about getting rid of NATO first time around. Now you got NATO more vivified than ever. I mean, that's going to last. Wherever Iran is right now, you can say it worked, it didn't work, et cetera. You know what worked? Iran knows now. We can come again, guys. Right. We got those planes. We got a few more of these bunker busters. So this stuff outlasts him. That's why it's a big win. That's why they won't give him any credit.
So is this luck? All of these things lining up at the same time in the same week to the point where CNN and NPR?
No. I don't think it's luck. I don't think it's luck. I heard a book, The Art of a Deal. It's a great read. So, with all that being said, look at my little things to go. With all that being said, all the CNN footage, CNN has got to capitulate. And this is what they admit. Well, at least one sensible commentator and decided to do some real journalism has admitted. So all this to lead up to this. Hold on. W's. Libertarians. This has got them so upset. So, Michael, something, whatever, from CNN, he actually did a really good analysis on last 2 weeks, W's. They have to admit it, and people are not happy. So, without further ado, here you go.
About voicing my disagreement here with President Trump. We're doing.
All right.
President Trump is having a moment. I'm Michael Smerconish in New York City. The first 5 months of Trump 2.0, they're in the books. I'm not shy about voicing my disagreement here with President Trump. We're doing so on radio. Often, whether it's trade, border control, Iran, I find myself agreeing with the goal, but not the approach. But viewed objectively, I have to say that Donald Trump has just had the best week or best 10 days of his second term. I'm still not sure bombing Iran was warranted. As I said last week, I'd have liked to have seen the evidence of Iran being on the nuclear doorstep rather than take Prime Minister Netanyahu's word for it, especially in the face of what DNI Tulsi Gabbard had testified in March and what Trump himself was saying right up until Israel launched its strike against Iran. But the mission was carried out with stealth and with precision. There were no American casualties. And while Congress is divided after receiving briefings on the extent of the damage, I'm sure that we've derailed Iran's nuclear program, at least temporarily. And there's some valuable deterrent effect for America's adversaries who witnessed last week's exercise. Then, last Tuesday, President Trump left the White House en route to Europe. At the time, there was a question as to whether Israel and Iran would honor a ceasefire. That caused the president to offer the most unfiltered, non-controversial, direct words that I can recall anybody ever saying about the Middle East.
We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
Cut to The Hague, where he arrived for NATO meetings and was able to wrangle an agreement from our allies to more than double their defense spending target from 2% of gross domestic product to 5% by 2035. Also, while at NATO, in a press availability, he did something rare for Trump and I found rewarding. He showed empathy. It came in an exchange with a Ukrainian journalist who said that her husband was a soldier. She asked whether the U.S. would supply her country with Patriot missiles.
Are you living yourself now in Ukraine?
My husband is there.
Wow.
And
I can see you're very, it's amazing.
And me with the kids. I'm in Warsaw actually because he wanted me to be.
Is your husband a soldier? No?
He is.
He's there now. They do want to have the anti-missile missiles, okay, as they call them, the Patriots. And we're going to see if we can make some available. I wish you a lot of luck. I mean, I can see it's very upsetting to you. So say hello to your husband, okay?
Also in that presser, he was more reflective and respectful than usual of our allies.
They want to protect their country, and they need the United States. And without the United States, it's not going to be the same. And I left here differently. I left here saying that these people really love their countries. It's not a ripoff, and we're here to help them protect their country.
Back at home, Trump claimed that he's reached a trade deal with China and soon expects the same with India. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick told Bloomberg that the deal was signed earlier this week. China's Commerce Ministry said Friday the two sides had further confirmed the details of the framework. Of course, Trump's initial imposition of tariffs wreaked havoc on American markets back in the spring. But now the markets have rebounded and grown. The S&P 500, NASDAQ hit record highs just yesterday. And it's not just the stock market. Inflation, the great economic fear of recent times, seems to be tamed. The rate is now reported at 2.4%, down from a high of 7% just 4 years ago. Meanwhile, blue-collar workers have seen real wage growth of 1.7% in Trump's first 5 months. This is the largest such increase in nearly 3 generations. Notwithstanding its impact on our national debt, there's also hope among some that Trump's big, beautiful bill will give further financial relief to blue-collar workers, as well as create incentives to build more factories in the U.S. Some already see this happening. For instance, General Electric has just announced that it'll invest almost $500 million in moving production of washing machines from China to Kentucky. And then there's the border. Crossings have slowed to a trickle. According to CBP's May update, Southwest border encounters have fallen to about 282 a day, a drop of 93% from last year and the lowest since the early 1960s. Perhaps the loudest cheering for those border numbers is coming from America's Latino community, which might initially sound counterintuitive. On Thursday, Pew Research released an enormous data analysis of the 2024 election, which contained several surprises. High on that list, President Trump won a bigger percentage of the Latino vote than previously believed. Hillary Clinton had a 38% lead over Trump among Hispanics in 2016. Joe Biden beat Trump in this demo by 25 percentage points. Kamala Harris's margin among these same voters over Trump, just 3 points. Even more surprising, perhaps, Pew Research concludes that if everyone had voted in 2024, contrary to the widely held belief that higher turnout helps Democrats, Trump would still have won. The data show 44% of non-voters said that they would have gone for Trump compared to 40% of non-voters who would have gone for Harris. So if more had voted, his margin would have grown. Yesterday came a huge decision from the Supreme Court. The High Court declared that federal district judges exceeded their authority when issuing nationwide injunctions against Trump's executive order on birthright citizenship. This will, of course, strengthen executive power both for Trump and for his successors. And finally, a Democratic socialist just won the nomination for mayor of New York City. And perhaps you're wondering, well, how does that affect Trump? It gives him the perfect foil, someone to play off in future political battles. This morning's New York Post references campaign literature for Zohran Mamdani, which advocates for increased taxation for, quote, richer and whiter neighborhoods. Just imagine what Trump will do with that. Winning became a punchline that Trump's opponents used to lampoon him in his first administration. He was a political novice then, surrounded by a team with which he was unfamiliar, and he was probably as surprised as the rest of us were that he won the election. This time is different. This time he came with a plan and a cabinet with senior advisors comprised of loyalists all well known to the president. And recently he's exhibited a more layered approach to governing on both the domestic and international front, no longer solely guided by winning each day's news cycle. By any objective measure, President Trump has his opponents on the run.
Yeah, so with that being said, so you heard that, you seen that, CNN, the op themselves, has capitulated. They don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that. His followers don't want to hear that. Some of the comments, you go follow that, you go see it, you will see some of the comments. But let's just address a couple of things. First of all, when you're talking about the Democrats are mad. Like they all of this, but they mad about this strike because he didn't tell them. Why in the heck would he tell you? Why would anybody tell them anything the way they have displayed their hatred for this country? Seems like it seems like allegedly that they do not like this country. Like everything they do is against this country. Why would I tell you something? Why would I tell the media anything? Why wouldn't I have the smoothest, like you said, stealth operation of keeping the damn secret from y'all. So y'all can go run and tell y'all mouth split all on the news, tell Iran and be like, oh my God, Iran, he's coming to get you. Hide the news. Whatever. Also, I wanted to take down some notes, but I didn't want to miss nothing. Talking about, oh, he was respectful. You know, he was respectful. First of all, Trump always been respectful. He just don't play games. Respect us, we respect you. Don't respect us, we don't respect you. Don't act like y'all don't live y'all lives like that. Most of us, normal people on a regular day. You know, we talking about the markets. They say the markets are going down. The markets are amazing. They was like, oh my God, the tariffs. Oh my God, the tariffs. Now, I don't know much about stocks. I don't know much about, I don't know nothing. I ain't know much. I'm learning from my mentor. Shout out to AD. But I don't know nothing about this. But what I do know, I know green is good, red is bad. And what I have been seeing is green money. So what we got to do at this point is take advantage of every opportunity. When these people start panicking and you see the thing crash, the stock market crash, whatever, especially for y'all people who know what stocks is, buy. And then inbox me and be like, oh, brown girl, Nikki, you got to, like, this time, like, do it. Let me know. You know what I'm saying? Because we learned about this, but we're going to get our stocks up, we're going to get our money up, because ain't nobody going to keep telling us we are pressed, because we are not. We just need to know the game and play the game. This is chess, not checkers, baby. As far as the economy, I really don't expect that to do anything. I don't, personally. So we got a lot going on. I don't expect us, and stuff already looking good. The gas going down. A lot of stuff going down. The interest rates, I think that's what we need to do. But then you got the Fed, you know, I think his name's Jerome, somebody, whatever. I don't know if it's Jerome because he's so right. Like, why would his name be Jerome? But anyway, he don't like Trump either. So he don't want to hold off. He don't want to, like, do his job. But he'll be gone. So in about a year, we'll probably see that. You know what I mean? As far as the votes of the Latinos, of course the polls are wrong again. The polls are always wrong because who y'all polling? But the Latinos understand. The legal Latinos who escape communism and escape what they came from, they know what's coming in. They not stupid. Y'all need to start paying attention to them and quit acting like they hate theyself, like y'all try to say that conservatives, black conservatives hate theyself. That is not true. We just know what's going on. We know what the problem is, and we know what's the destruction. And them people know what darn well they escaped from, and they don't want it over here. They know what they see. Stuff we haven't even fathomed to see. They escaped here and came here for a reason. The legal ones, not the other ones. The other ones need to come the right way. Yes, they're upset. They spent 10, 15, all these years trying to get legalized for somebody to just sneak over the border illegally for fentanyl and all this type of stuff. Not even the right reasons. I'm not going to say all of them not coming over for the right reasons, but a lot of them over the last 4 years because of what Biden did have. But you do have your dreamers, but you got to come the right way, man. Like, you cannot be coming over here dropping babies and thinking that's like, now I'm good. And then you don't even try to assimilate. You don't even try to make us think that you're trying to be American. You literally come over here. And then that just proves it with the last in LA. They was all over TikTok saying how they don't care about us. They don't assimilate to our culture. They don't speak. They don't do nothing. Like, come on, man. No. And about that, the New York candidate, I already told you, socialism is derived from Marxism and communism and cover it up. They use pretty words. Don't fall for it. If you have not heard about this Rawami or whatever his name is in New York, I'm sure we will cover that for another time because he a whole video because we got to deep dive into this person, because if they did that, and it's these young people, if they did that, based off what they have been taught and indoctrinated in these colleges. I don't know. If he can win a general election, that's going to be diabolical. So we'll talk about that another time, but go look him up so you can get yourself familiar, because that's what essentially he is, who the Democratic Party is wanting to be. That is who's taking over the Democratic Party. And what he says might sound good, but it is not good. It's always dressed up, and there's no way that he could pull that off without having New York into a third world country. So with that being said, let me know what you think. I don't know. I'm just another brown girl in America. Again, my name is Nikki. Shout out at me. Shout out at you. I love you. Hopefully you're still my friend. Don't forget to hit the like button. Share this video with all your families and friends. Drop a comment in below, even if you just drop a report saying, hey, but I would love to know your insight. Also, drop me videos. Send me videos. My email is in the description. If it's something that you want me to react to, I will do that. If you send me videos, just send me videos to react to. I will react to it. Follow me on TikTok if you want a more lighthearted, funnier version of commentary, and some of the clips are over there from this and moving over here, but most of it is funny, and we are so switching that TikTok channel over to more my new this niche of the social and political. Before, during COVID, when I started, it was voiceover as far as movies, because I do love acting. That's another hobby of mine: acting, writing, karaoke, an assortment of things. I am in, but this is what I'm most passionate about, because I love my people and I just want us to do better. I want us to win, y'all. We have got to win. So like I said, don't forget, hit the like, share, and subscribe. I'm just another brown girl in America. I'm signing off on this Monday evening. Talk to you later.